Young people who speak multiple languages can advance quickly in today's global economy. I'm Sarah Gardner. We'll take a look at a dual immersion language school in Reading, why kids become fluent so quickly, and how they learn classwork in a bilingual setting.
Should community service be part of a well-rounded education? I'm Christina Salerno. We'll take you to California's capital, where one summer program tests that theory with some hands-on work.
Teachers are sharing their class with artists in some San Diego schools. I'm Jim Finnerty. See why incorporating art into regular classroom lessons is helping students better absorb the material. It's all coming up on Inside California Education.
Funding for Inside California Education is made possible by, since 1985, the California Lottery has raised more than $30 billion for our public schools. It's a modest amount after dividing it up to California's 1,100 public school districts from kindergarten through high school, as well as community colleges, UC and CSU campuses. Still, these funds help attract quality teachers, provide classroom equipment, and keep art and music programs alive. With caring teachers, committed administrators, and active parents, every public school student can realize their dreams. The California Lottery. Imagine the possibilities. The Stewart Foundation, improving life outcomes for young people through education. Additional funding for Inside California Education is made possible by these organizations supporting public education.
Thanks for joining us on Inside California Education. Dozens of schools in California offer dual immersion programs in Spanish, Chinese, French, even Hmong. The idea is to understand subjects in both English and another language, improving academic achievement and proficiency in both. Let's take a look at how this works at one charter school in Reading.
Oh, it's absolutely fabulous. It keeps me young. Tremendous amount of energy goes into every day, and so consequently I go home quite exhausted.
Mike Dressel's been studying Mandarin Chinese for more than 35 years. At one point, his career vision was to teach at the university level. But today, Dressel says he experiences a special satisfaction, even amazement, teaching Chinese to these 6-year-olds.
It is a very different language, but at their age, they're able to absorb so much. The brain is ready to learn a language, 2 languages, 3 languages, and we see quite a significant amount of growth within them in the 10 months that we have them.
Welcome to Reading School of the Arts, where about 260 kids are absorbing a second language starting in kindergarten. Launched in 2007, this elective program teaches 50% of the daily curriculum in English and 50% in Mandarin.
I think that's very special, especially in this far northern California, to offer that as an opportunity.
Yeah! Margaret Johnson, director of this charter school, says it was the Reading community that selected Mandarin over more traditional second languages like Spanish or French, in part because of the growing Asian population in this region and the fact that America needs more Chinese language speakers to do business in the world's fastest growing consumer market.
They learn both the academic and the cultural language. We believe by doing that, their language is broader. It's just not conversational Chinese that way. If they are looking to go into the business world in the future or the science world in the future, having that background of basic science and math will help them later on when they're building their own language.
And that's what makes this program different from traditional language classes. From kindergarten through 5th grade, students are immersed in Chinese culture, from arts and crafts to traditions and poetry. Teacher Kathy Song says by the time students are in her 5th grade class, they're already thinking, listening, and reasoning in their new language.
For our program, we believe that language is a tool. That's not supposed to be the target. It's the tool that you learn knowledge.
We do speak Chinese at my house. Either online homework or we're writing out the characters and solving Chinese problems. It's pretty cool.
Joshua Baba Tasha Jinsha Joshua Mama Tasha Fu Yang.
If you start young, then it's kind of just a piece of you and you grow up with it.
Parents of students at the Reading School of the Arts are asked to keep their kids in the immersion program through 5th grade. Students can continue studying Mandarin through 8th grade as an elective course of study. Some are already dreaming of visiting the world's most populous nation.
I might use it to go to China someday, maybe. It's a really big part of the world. It has a lot of people, so that would be helpful to be able to speak to them because probably a lot of them couldn't speak English.
When I grow up, I want to do something in the medical field, and anything medical is pretty bilingual, and so it will be nice in the business field or the medical field to be able to speak another language, especially something so big like Mandarin.
They're tired at the end of the day from using 2 languages, but they seem to have a really good time. I think the children see some real value in it, and I think they have a lot of fun and feel special that they're in that program.
Across California, there are more than 400 so-called biliteracy programs, where students are taught to speak, read, and write in 2 languages. Each is required to follow California curriculum frameworks and meet or exceed state and local content standards. Studies show that dual immersion students often develop better thinking, problem solving, and even English language skills when compared to others outside such programs. Teachers here say they see it firsthand.
It exposes them to another language and another way of thinking, brings in culture, marvelous elements of culture that they experience in this setting, and also it helps to expand their brain. We hear this from research that it helps them to develop cognitive levels that otherwise they may not achieve.
It makes it so you can go on to other languages too, not just a second language.
Just the brain power that comes from knowing 2 languages and the ability to think and reason in more than 1 language gives you a lot of problem-solving skills and more than one way to express an opinion that you wouldn't otherwise get if you weren't bilingual. And so I'm glad, especially California, that's got so many different languages in the school system. This is really a great opportunity.
California began offering a state seal of biliteracy in 2012. This golden seal appears on the high school diploma of students who have attained a high level of proficiency in English and another language. More than 40,000 graduating seniors in California in 2016 earned a seal for their ability to speak, read, and write in 2 languages.
California voters in 2016 passed Proposition 58, lifting restrictions on bilingual education that had been in place since 1998. We asked an expert as part of our Education 101 series, what will be the impact of Proposition 58?
It really brings a lot of opportunity to Californian students and communities, really. 73% of voters in California voted to pass Prop 58. Since then, the California Department of Education has received many, many calls, folks wanting to know where are our programs, how many programs, what languages, how do I start a program, how can I enroll my student in a program. There's been a tremendous interest, and we also at times have received calls from employers saying, Yeah, I heard you had this state seal of biliteracy. Where can I find students who would like to intern? A community that is interested in bringing a dual immersion or two-way program to their school district should engage with the community in conversations in developing the local control accountability plan. And then doing the research, visiting schools, finding out how to bring teachers who are proficient in the language at a high level, who can teach courses and coursework in that language for the grade levels that are going to be involved. I think dual immersion programs really lay a strong foundation for continued participation and growth in California. It's a tremendous opportunity for us.
Now, as I was saying, in 1492, my wife sailed the ocean blue.
Still ahead on Inside California Education, an effort to bring art into regular subjects like history. But first, what happens when you take students out of the classroom to learn a little more about the community in which they live? Sacramento has developed a summer program that focuses on internships within the city's police department, museums, and even the animal shelter.
The Front Street Animal Shelter is the City of Sacramento's municipal shelter. We're an open shelter, which means everything that comes in to our doors, we have to accept. At the end of the day, it's about getting animals out of the shelter. It's wet noses out the door, and that's our goal, that's our mission.
11,000 animals pass through here each year, which means that this shelter is always in need of extra help.
When the summer interns at City Hall's program started, we were, I think, one of the first divisions in the city to bring them on. I don't know where they're getting these kids, but we have been incredibly pleased and frankly, just really impressed by their maturity.
Summer at City Hall sends dozens of teenagers into the real world to get hands-on experience working for city departments and government agencies. The hope? These teens will someday consider their own career working in public service.
The program started in Sacramento with 30 kids through a partnership with the city and the school district. And now we have Elk Grove, Yuba City, Oxnard, and Moreno Valley. Cities are attracted to this because they see the need to grow a more diverse workforce, seeing that they're going to have a lot of retirements coming up. And then they're also worried about the level of civic engagement in their communities.
Along with the civics lesson, the teenagers learn what it's like to have a job.
We went over how to act, or like your attitude when you're in the workforce, like rather than being casual as if you would act with your friends, like be more respectable, be more formal.
And we also, they also went over with how we should dress because of the shelter, the animal shelter where we're going to be at. And I actually see myself like actually being able to like help out with like customers, answering phone calls.
The internship is a major component of the Summer at City Hall program, now in its 6th year here in Sacramento. But it wasn't always easy to find work for these teens.
People were kind of hesitant. It's like, I don't know what to do with these kids. And we didn't want just kids coming and doing filing or running around getting coffee, things like that. We wanted these young people to have a real job.
Sacramento City Council member Jay Chenier came up with the concept for Summer at City Hall while he was campaigning for his seat.
I was walking neighborhoods and I would see young people and they would say, "What are you doing here?" And I would say, "Well, I'm running for city council," and they would have no idea what that meant. And so it really brought forth to me the need to do civics education for our young people. And so out of that really hatched the idea for Summer at City Hall.
These are real life skills. I'm not like trying to reduce this down for high school students.
Summer at City Hall kicks off the day with students gathered in the historic chambers of Sacramento's old City Hall to get a lesson in how things really work in government.
People, money, time. Everybody say people, money, time.
City Hall is pretty impressive. You know, just seeing where like the mayor and all legislation happens, it's pretty impressive.
Yeah. Sitting in the rooms where they actually do the meetings and stuff, and then finding out that there's 2 city halls, not just one.
Echolocation is really important. I think that anytime you take students outside the classroom and you kind of change the environment, you actually get a different reaction from the kids. And to me, this doing in historic council chambers is like almost the best classroom you can possibly ever have.
It's important that you guys break this up.
It's really what you want teaching to be. These kids are definitely motivated. They're definitely, these are the go-getters of our kids in the city.
Students say they're also motivated by the $300 stipend that they earn at the end of the 7-week program.
That's very important, especially to me. I don't know about you, but my dad's from a low-income family. Like, he's a stereotypical Indian taxi driver, so he's the only person working in my family of 5. I have 2 little brothers, so it's going to be very important considering college and other financial needs that I'll have in the future.
I also agree with her too. I also come from a low-income family too. So I also want to be able to use the $300 to also help out with my family and also deal with school-related things too, because I don't always want to ask my parents to pay for my school-related things, because I always feel bad that I always have to.
Along with the money, the high school students get free public transit passes to get them to and from their internships each afternoon.
The students do need to, learn the responsibility of being able to get around the city on their own. Teach them about professionalism and being places on time. We do have at-risk kids here. We do have kids that have financial issues, and the fact that we can support them to get these bus passes so that they don't have to pay for themselves, so they actually are a little more motivated.
We're really not targeting just kind of your straight-A students. We really are trying to reach out to young people who otherwise wouldn't have this experience, who are disconnected, who need to be more engaged in their community.
One of the ways the program does that is through service days, cleaning up area parks.
This is McClatchy Park. It's in Oak Park, which is in my district. We want them to understand on the ground what it is. We have our park service workers and our park rangers out here with them. So it's just a good experience for them doing that, knowing it's not all about book learning.
It is hard working outside because we're in the weeding area, so we're not in the shade and stuff. So it's sweat. It's getting hot, but we're doing our best, and we're cleaning the community so that when people come here and play in the kid park and stuff, it will be clean for them.
Just overall a better experience for the family here.
Organizers of the summer at City Hall received a state grant to expand this program to another 5 cities in 2017. And they hope to make it statewide by putting together an online toolkit for any city to use.
I want all of my colleagues, all of the city staff to really be reminded every day why they're there, what we need to do for young people. Young people a lot of times get left out of the conversation.
I often think, okay, so here's a young person who may grow up and become rich and famous and remember their fine time with us at the shelter and be philanthropic as they're adults. Or perhaps they'll teach their children about loving and caring, proper loving and caring of animals. It's growing future leaders in the animal world.
As we look towards the future workforce of the city and a need for a diverse workforce, these are the young people that are going to fill that need, and we really need to take care of them.
Internships are modern-day versions of apprenticeships. In the trade guilds of 11th century Europe, an apprentice would work alongside a master craftsman to learn a skill like printmaking. These apprenticeships started around the age of 16 and could last for several years. Apprentices would then graduate to journeymen and start earning better wages.
Step inside a classroom in some San Diego schools and you may see not 1, but 2 teachers leading a lesson. The second teacher is there to add an artistic twist to the material. It's part of an effort to better engage students in their studies through the addition of arts to regular subjects like English or history.
We have the honor and the privilege to learn about one of the greatest men of all time. Just because my wife left me, it doesn't mean that he wasn't a brave man.
Believe it or not, this is a freshman history class at East Village High School in the San Diego Unified School District.
I'm tired of hearing a lie about Columbus discovering America.
It may look unconventional because these 9th graders have been integrating theater art techniques into their history lesson on the late Union organizer Cesar Chavez.
Ready? Go. Instead of just reading from a textbook or watching film and collaboratively talking, they're actually acting out what was going on during the time of, Cesar Chavez and his experience up in Delano.
Most of you should know your lines by now, and now we're going to start blocking.
The foundation of this concept is the addition of what's known as a teaching artist, a second instructor who complements the original course of study with some dramatic flair.
Our role is to work with the teacher to kind of see his lesson plans, what he's teaching, and how do we incorporate that into the theater.
You name it, he does it. He rides horses, stays in the mountains, crosses deserts, plains, rivers.
Some students were initially apprehensive about being asked to perform in a play during their history class. They eventually found the technique rewarding to their education.
I feel like I'm more involved with it than just a teacher giving me a notebook and a test to do. I feel like it lets me learn more and gets me to actually act in it real. Like, it makes me feel it, like feel what they had to go through.
San Diego Unified is the second largest school district in California, serving more than 130,000 students. Many of the youngsters are from disadvantaged families where English is considered a second language. School officials believe the arts-integrated teaching helps to improve language skills.
We have 48% English language learners at our school, so they're learning English at the same time they're learning the content. So how do you remember something? And using music and movement is a perfect way to help you remember.
Bell will ring, and then Mr. Henry will enter.
To be clear, this is not a performing arts class. It is instead the integration of artistic techniques into what the state calls its Common Core curriculum, in this case, a history class.
As opposed to the artist coming in and saying, here's what I'm going to do, the teacher instead says, here are the areas of content that we're working on. How are we going to use the arts to amplify that in some kind of meaningful, authentic way?
Now, as I was saying, in 1492, my wife sailed the ocean blue.
We've been learning about Columbus since the 3rd grade, and we don't even learn the truth.
Why add these dramatic behaviors to traditional classroom instruction? A number of studies have shown that an effective arts education program also prompts otherwise low-achieving and truant students to become more engaged with their studies.
We have multiple research studies that show when you integrate the arts into schools, academic achievement improves. And so we see that all the time.
I'm thinking of a character who loves to do cheerleading.
To implement the arts integration program, the district hired consultants who set up training for the additional teaching artists.
I work with the whole team. I'll come up with guiding principles for all of this work and then structure what we call boot camp. So that is, getting the teachers and the artists just fully immersed in this arts integration training.
All right, so in the middle are all of our characters. We just brought them to life.
To pay for the program, San Diego Unified consulted with the California Alliance for Arts Education, which had been researching using Title I federal dollars to fund such a venture.
The question we were raising when we saw that those funds weren't being used for arts education is, why not? San Diego Unified is the first large district that has taken Title I funds and using them for arts integration strategies that are going into 22 schools.
What we need is something a little more traditional, more romantic, something that will attract all the voters.
As in other California classrooms, arts integration courses also include things like dance and music. They too have shown encouraging results.
You see the kids that are the ones like, don't call on me. They're the ones that kind of want to sort of hide in the woodwork and are not as confident in some of the academics. But then you see that same child and they get up on the stage and you're like, wow, I did not know Mark could do that.
San Diego Unified believes their expansion of arts into the regular curriculum provides the pathway to greater success as their students look to the future.
I still had an appreciation for history because without history, we probably would be repeating the same mistakes.
I never used to really study. Like, I always used to be that kid who just I'll just do the test and probably just wing it. But now I'm actually starting to study and look into things now instead of just bypassing it.
You watch these young people who don't believe they can perform, And they'll say it for like 3 or 4 weeks, and then there's that one moment where you just see that light turn on, and they start getting excited about it, and they don't realize they're learning because they're having fun.
That's going to do it for this edition of Inside California Education. If you'd like more information about the program, just log on to our website, insidecaled.org. We have video from all of our shows, and you can connect with us on social media as well. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time on Inside California Education.
These are real life skills. I'm not like trying to reduce this down for high school students.
Most of you should know your lines by now. Now we're going to start blocking.
We have the honor and the privilege to learn about one of the greatest men of all time, Christopher Columbus.
Funding for Inside California Education is made possible by, since 1985, the California Lottery has raised more than $30 billion for our public schools. It's a modest amount after dividing it up to California's 1,100 public school districts from kindergarten through high school, as well as community colleges, UC and CSU campuses. Still, these funds help attract quality teachers, provide classroom equipment, and keep art and music programs alive. With caring teachers, committed administrators, and active parents, every public school student can realize their dreams. The California Lottery. Imagine the possibilities. The Stewart Foundation, improving life outcomes for young people through education. Additional funding for Inside California Education is made possible by these organizations supporting public education.